Do you agree that, it's time that we all wake up and take responsibility, even for our ancestors that did not know any better?
Been waiting patiently to have this kind of conversation. Well, it's Wake Up with Casey. I'm Kimberly, and I love music. I have talked about this on my podcast and on my show. I've had other music artists on this show, and I am so excited because one of my favorite songs from the 90's, and you probably know it, Whoomp, there it is. I have dcglenn joining us to talk more about music. DC, welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you join us today.
Hey, before we even start, I gotta get something off my chest.
Okay.
I've been waiting to do this all day. Sprinkle. All right, now we can start.
I have to say and ask you this. You did the scoop. There it is, Geico commercial. How much fun was that doing that commercial?
It was very fun. And it was a lot more to it because we did it in the middle of a pandemic. So it is just a testament to us and to what and to me of being an actor, a voice artist, everything that I have hustled for in my life. It all culminated in the process of making that commercial, right? Because in life, we find ourselves doing a bunch of things. And when you're younger, sometimes people look at you and say you're doing too much, or they think, people just don't believe in you and they just tell you you're not doing the right things. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. Everybody has an opinion. But me, I never listened to anybody, right? So when it comes to this Geico commercial, most people think, they asked me at the beginning, it's like, are you happy that you got a Geico commercial? I'm like, I'm cool, but now the real work starts because I'm an actor and I prepared for that commercial a whole month before we did it. And my thought process was, I'm going into this commercial with 5 to 10 things that I want to introduce to the director. And the night before we shot the commercial, we had our production meeting. And I went to the director. I said, hey, I got some ideas. What do you think? He's like, DC, whatever you want to do, we can do. I was like, oh, all right. So I said, I tried to make a spin and scoop, but couldn't find anybody to fabricate. He's like, oh, it'll be done tomorrow. I was like, whoa. I was like, I don't know why kids love sprinkles, but we need a truckload of sprinkles. Please have DC. We'll have 2 truckloads of sprinkles there. I was like, I want to do the ode to LeBron James. I want to have a sprinkle food fight. I want to do the salt-based sprinkle. I had, all that. There's a dance that we do down south that we, that everybody knows. So we would have been representing the South. So everything that I created for this commercial had meaning. And those were the very nuances of that commercial that made it great. Not to say the rest of the cast who were actually in the same improv troupe, and they didn't even know they auditioned for it. And I didn't even know people in Atlanta were auditioning for it till everybody started calling me like, hey, man, can you put in a good word for me to be in your commercial? I was like, nah, because everybody got to earn their spot. And that the day of the commercial came and they couldn't believe the energy we had all day. Like, we were locked in and we shot so much footage. They probably could have done 5 Geico commercials. But we had a great time. And then I'll never forget at the end of that day, they were like, DC, can you come in this room? We want to introduce you to some people. And it was like a 60-inch monitor with everybody on Zoom that were, throwing their 2 cents in, improving all the higher ups in Geico and the Martin Agency and the People Store, and just everybody who was important to it were there. And they just started clapping because they couldn't believe that it was such a wonderful day. And that's what happened. And then we waited. Right. And I knew You know, it was a little anxiety, but I just started grinding. I said, I have to be able to have to be able to take advantage of this commercial because we're in a pandemic. Usually a Geico commercial for artists, that means you're on tour, but we're in a pandemic. We can't go on tour. So I'm like, what can I do? I was like, get a publicist and start working, you know, just blow it up like that. And then maybe we can, you know, we work on the acting and the voiceover, and you use it to catapult those careers. And I had a big meeting with my agents, and we got some publicists together, and they were like, well, we kind of don't know what to do because we're all at home and this is a different type of thing. And it's not like it's a movie premiere. And I was like, all right. And they gave me every reason why they shouldn't instead of one reason why they should. But I appreciate that because they would have wasted my time. And this is one of the special things about DC, the Brain Supreme, because they call me that for a reason. I have hustle tactics that I have accrued through the years, and I call them learn how to learn hustle tactics. And whenever I get stuck or somebody tells me I can't do anything, or I just kind of get bogged down in life, I join an organization because organizations are filled with people who are expert in their field, and they do everything for their profession. And they've been doing it 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So I said, I'm gonna be my own damn publicist. And I joined the Public Relations Society of America. And I'm two days in, I'm on this podcast with the CEO of this firm, big PR firm. And I do this from time to time to get validation because I know what I'm doing, but it feels good to get validation because you just never know what, you know, somebody can tell you something in a slightly different way and it can mean everything to you moving forward. And I said, our press release is relevant these days? And they're like, well, what's it for? And I'm like, well, I'm kind of featured in a national Geico commercial called Scoop. There it is. And I'm looking at the chat, and the chat's just blowing up. That can't be him. Is that him? Oh my God, that's my favorite commercial. My kids love that commercial. My dog dances that. I mean, it just blew the entire Zoom call up. And now everybody's looking at me like, I can't believe DC, the Brain Supreme Tag Team, is on this podcast. I mean, you know, this because, you know, the PRSA gives these, you know, they help the people, right? Answer questions. They bring on speakers and whatnot. So that's what organizations will do for you. So whenever you want to learn something, join an organization. And the moderators, like, we like to welcome DC to the organization. And back to his question, our press release is relevant. And the CEO's like, yes, especially now because the whole last year has been COVID. The whole last year has been COVID. The whole last year has been political. The whole last year has been just a turmoil of human emotions. And here you guys come throwing sprinkles, spinning scoops, dancing, and DC, you'll smile. And I was like, she said, of course that press release is going to work. And you're going to go here for all the publicists. You're going to go here for all the TV talk shows. You're going to go here for all the podcasters. You're going to go here for all the journalists. Make sure your pictures are like this, this, and that. And I have not looked back. And it has opened doors for me I could have never imagined. And it is the reason that you and I are talking right now.
Yes. And I'm so grateful for it. And, you know, growing up, you know, with music, I want to touch on a little history of music and how it's evolved and changed and how it's affecting us today. And I mean, if you look back in the 70s, the disco era, you know, you want to get your dancing shoes on, you know, and even if you go back into the 1920s, you know, the blues, the jazz, the, you know, hip hop and whatnot, it was always a positive vibe. Even during the Depression, they always found a way to put some kind of positivity, and they used it through music. Is there some truth that has changed, that there's a negative kind of energy with music today?
I mean, it's about your perspective and your age and your generation and all there's so many factors in it that I don't even entertain those thoughts because I had my time. Music is not going to stay the same. Hip hop is not going to stay the same. It's going to change. And I guarantee you that when it does change, it's not going to be for me because I've matured. I've gotten older. I'm smarter. So certain things that used to float my boat don't float my boat anymore. right? It's a natural progression of human beings and a natural progression of people who love music. But every now and then there'll come along a song that you're like, whoa, I like that song, but I don't like that other stuff. That's what I hear more people say than anything. But for me, right, there are forms of music still that require dancing, but now it's more about look at me, and that's because technology has made it that way. Okay, but dancing is now in the form of TikTok, so people are still dancing. They're just dancing online, but they're not dancing in the clubs like they used to, right? And if you're dancing in a club, that means you're at a 90s party or you're somewhere else. But and then it's more for show than it is for having fun in a party, unless you're at a wedding, right? So it's still there, but the music that is made today, there was negative music when I was making negative music. It depends on the artist. I could be just as negative without cussing, right?
Mhm.
And then it's a different form of art. So I don't knock people for what they do. I have been blessed to have made a party record that has stood the test of time. And it's actually funny because Whoomp There It is about us chasing booty on a Friday night, right? And everybody thinks it's the cleanest, most wholesome record ever made. And it's about all those things. It's about all the things we used to do when we were young. So you can't knock young people for being young because youth is wasted on the young. Always, right? So it is what it is. I mean, I feel 25 right now because I realized a long time ago that, because see, I worked in the clubs for 30 years, so I had to adapt. That was almost it was my fountain of youth. Working in strip clubs and working in regular clubs, it was my fountain of youth because to be good, you had to adapt. So to be good, I gotta know every record that comes out. I gotta know why it's good. I gotta know every record from every region. I gotta know how to mix it to where I can make people happy, how I can make people have fun, how I can get this money out of people. And I was one of the best at it. And that was my fountain of youth because it kept me locked into young people without having to be young. Right. So I feel blessed because of that. And I could put those shoes back on at any time I want. But the one thing I have that they will never have is experience. Right. I have experience of a lifetime of trials and tribulations and learning and failures. And they all have served me the way they're supposed to. And is the reason I'm successful, because I have learned things along the way, how to deal with my emotions, how to take my pride out of things, how to take my ego out of things, how to not quit, how to have 16 hustles in the hole, just in case one falls. You got to be prepared. You got to have plan A, B, C, D. Some people will say, you don't have no plan A. Well, if you're from these streets, you better have several plans because something's going to go wrong. Right. And it's all about preparation. And I feel that I have been preparing myself all my life. And now I'm reaping the rewards of it. And it feels great, and that's why people love to hear me talk, because as my voiceover coach, I was like, why do I affect people in such a way? And he's like, because you're not telling people stuff that they read from a book. You're telling people things that you've actually done, and they're watching you do it. He's like, every time you tell me you're going to do something 2 months ago, and then 2 months later it's done. And I'm like, he said it was going to happen this way, and it happened that way. I've been that way my whole life. So when it comes to music, right, there are the other, back then was back then. Whoomp There It is Whoomp There It is Whoomp There It is. People are like, are you going to make some new music? No, we're never going to make another record, because why make another record when you got a forever hit record? Right. And I realized it was a forever hit record when I'm sitting in the movie theater and I'm looking at Will Ferrell dance on a table to my song, right? And Elf. Or I'm, looking at all these TV shows or movie, or my phone blows up because it was in this or that commercial or this commercial. So Whoomp There It is Whoomp There It is. And people are always pressing me on that. But the thing is that Whoomp There It is the genesis of everything. Right. And, it is the gift that keeps on giving. And I mean, we've got shows as far as the eye could see. We've got endorsements as far as the eye could see because of how we carry ourselves and because of our professionalism. And these things are acquired over time. So, you know, you ask me, you know, do I see that music now is a little more negative? No more negative than it was before. I mean, think about it. If you listen to blues, that could be negative because it's like, why they always complaining about they lost the girl they love, right? Or think about what they thought about the Beatles. They thought the Beatles was devil music, right? Because of the way it made children react, right? But it wasn't. It was that was their time. You know, I have these arguments with people, DJs, other rappers all the time, and they're like, these kids should pay homage to us because we paved the way for them to be able to do this crap that they're doing now. And I was like, first of all, it's not a good look, you know, hating on young people because you look old and bitter, right? You look like it didn't go that way for you, and you look old and you look bitter. I said, they wouldn't even know how to pay homage to us. What does that mean? Right? They wouldn't even know. Why would they thank us? They don't even know. They don't even know what we did. Right? They're doing their own thing. They don't like what does it say? You have to know your history about something before you do it. Right? Now that would help you, but not really. And they're like, no, man, but they should be treating you guys like. I was like, man, I don't expect anything from anybody. That's the problem. Right? Everybody expects something. And I said, let me put it to you this way. When you was coming up and you was doing your thing and you're in the beginning of hip hop and you're making all your beats and doing all your thing and all this, where you reaching back, paying homage to Little Richard and Chubby Checker and, you know, Otis Redding and all those artists like that. I was like, no, because that was their time. Hip hop was our time. And we did what we wanted to do. And this form of hip hop is their time. And if they don't want to rap and they want to mumble rap or they want to do whatever they want to do, that's what they do. But you can't be mad about it. And it's like, I see what you're saying now, but still, no, you just stuck on it because your ego and your pride is involved. And, you know, that's the problem with people today, is that everyone thinks when it comes to anything you're trying to do, entrepreneurship, business, anything you're trying to come up on, they think that if I do this, this is supposed to happen. And I don't think that way because I know there's no quid pro quo. You know, you don't plant a seed and then sit there and look at that seed and say, hey, seed, I need you to grow. Come on, seed, grow. Please grow, seed. Man, this seed don't work. I quit. Now, that comes in the form of somebody telling you, I'm doing this real estate course. I'm going to get rich. What happened to that real estate course a couple months later? You know, I'm doing all right. Right? Because their ego is shot because it didn't happen the way they wanted it to. And I just play offense. I'm planting seeds all over the place. I just do the work and keep it moving. Do the work, keep it moving. And over time, I realized that I planted so many seeds inadvertently that I'm standing in a forest of opportunity I just never could have dreamed of. And if I'm not prepared, it's my fault. No one else's fault but mine. So I spend my days preparing for whatever comes my way. And it's been fruitful for me. Like I was on a hot seat yesterday. And it's interesting because it was a hot seat and I didn't really know what it was. And then I realized what it was. Like, this is for you just to ask what questions you want about your life. And I was like, well, I'm good at digital marketing. How can I get better? What can I, how can I make money in digital marketing? I just wanted to hear what they said, but they took it another direction. Like, well, what is it that you want? And I was like, I'm doing what I want. Well, what is your goals? You're doing too many things. I'm like, I don't believe that. Right. I'm doing everything I want to do because that's life. And it keeps me busy and it keeps my mind engaged and it keeps me active and I'm just a different dude. And we just was going back and forth. And it was just like, and these are millionaires and billionaires and they've got these companies. And I'm like, I kind of know what I want to do, but my situation is different because I know how to do so many things, right? I'm asking about digital marketing. Well, why would you want to do that? Because this is another thing I want to do. And it takes me back to what I'm saying is that people will tell me the traditional ways of doing things, but then when I, they'll say it works this way. You have to do it like this. So it's basically they were saying you're doing too much. You're doing too many things. And I'm like, okay, maybe you're right. You're right. I am doing too much. I said, well, let me, that's cool. I'm just, how did I put it? You can't do everything, DC. And he's like, you know what? You're right. I can't, but I sure enough can be prepared for everything. Right. And then they were like, yeah, that's good. Okay. I see what you're saying. And what they don't realize is that the very thing they disapproved of me doing in the beginning, they approve of me doing now when it's exactly the same damn thing. Preparation is doing everything. It's crossing T's and dotting I's and making sure things are right, making sure you understand things, right? Because a lifetime of that will bear you fruit. So, but it shook me a little because you always have to put your ego and your pride to the side and say, what parts of this could they be right? What am I missing in this conversation, right? Because I love to be wrong. I love to be wrong because it's the path to being right. And to be able to admit that you're wrong, it just serves a better purpose because it kills your ego and it kills your pride. And once your ego and your pride are in check, your mind is open to everything. And you think so much differently that nothing can stop you after that. But people who are in their feelings, people who want to win arguments all the time and conspiracy theory and complain and all that, they're stuck. They're stuck because their ego and their pride is involved. I've learned to take any human emotion, negative human emotion, and just not react to it. Pain, envy, fear, loathing, disgust, jealousy, right? Anger, despair. I don't react to it right then and there, but it affects me inside, but I don't react to it on the outside. And what I do is I put it in my pocket and I let it marinate. And after not too long, that negative energy turns into positive energy. And now it serves you. Example, if I have an audition, I've got an audition due Monday where I have to be a little angry. So if there's I got a situation where I was angry last week arguing with this girl. So it's like, ooh, and in acting, I don't have to go find a character or be a caricature because I have this in my pocket and I didn't react to it and I use it as fuel. Now the character becomes me and it's real. And that's what makes a believable actor. And that's acting, right? Everything negative can serve you. When people come to me with problems, I always do this. And I know they get sick of it, but it's just how I think. I say, okay, that's, you giving me the glass half empty. What's the glass half full? Huh? What's the solution? What do you mean? And they're complaining so bad and so hard that they never thought about the solution. I said, it don't even have to be the right solution. Just think about what you want. The most, high pie in the sky, fantastical, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. You know what I'm saying? Just think of your fantastical solution because it's way up here, and it is far-fetched, right? But then you work your way back. You come back incrementally. Okay, that might not work, but if I did it this way, wait a minute, I could do that. I could do that. I'm doing that now. And what you've just done with that solution is that you've just developed a business plan in reverse. And now you have a step ladder to your own success. If you follow what you just did, that's the solution. Because even if you don't get to the fantastical solution, you're on the way there. And that's what I do with everything. When people come to me and complain, or they come to me with excuses. I can't do that because of this. I'm like, thank you. because now I've come up with 5 solutions for that excuse, and I put it in my toolbox, and I always have it because I'm thinking differently. I'm not thinking problems, and I'm not thinking excuses. I'm thinking solutions, even if they are far-fetched. And every solution that I've thought of, I've achieved, right? And the pandemic probably was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because it forced everybody to stop. You know, the other side is the other side of the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's another part of it. And the part that I love is that we're all forced to stop at the same time. And we're all in the Serengeti together. So what are you going to be? Predator or prey, right? What are you going to do? Just sit back and watch Netflix for 6 months? Or what are you going to do? Take this time to reinvent yourself because you know that the world is about to change, right? And I reinvented myself because everybody's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I was like, okay, I'm going to do voiceover because I know I can do this and be right here, sitting here talking to you just like this. And I could do voiceover. And I reinvented myself because I've been training for voiceover since 2009 and I record every session. So I went back and I got together and organized all those sessions because voiceover was difficult for me because I thought I could just whoop, there it is, my way through it. But I was sorely mistaken. And I had to organize. I listened to the first class that I took in New York with Joan Baker and Rudy Gaskins. And they're professionals in their field. And it was gut-wrenching because I had to hear myself talk 10 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, you might hear yourself in passing or a little voice. To hear yourself have a whole conversation 10 years ago, I realized that I was the one getting in my own way.
Wow.
And when you realize that, it's heartbreaking because you feel like you've wasted a whole lot of time. And I was like, just listening and just really depressed. But on the other side, I was like, wait a minute. I remember they were trying to tell me that and I couldn't understand it. But I understand it now because I never quit, right? I just let it be hard and kept going. And then I started acting. So now I'm doing voiceover and acting. I'm doing little parts here, little things there. But I'm learning the language of acting and voiceover. So now when I go back to the beginning, I hear them talk. They were the best coaches in the game. I said, I can do this. I said, let me record the first script that I did. Let me record it over. Listen, take their notes, listen to what they were trying to coach me. It was real easy. And I listened to it, and it was just pure angelic because it was the first time I had mastery over my voice. And back in March 2020, when we all thought we were going to turn to zombies and start eating each other, I was in the lab learning voiceover from a different perspective all over again. And I started booking instantly. And a month later, I shoot my first movie in Nebraska because I've worked so hard and all these things are starting to pay off. I shoot my second movie 2 months later. I'm getting voiceover after voiceover. I get a big fall campaign for Publix grocery store chain down here. Then I get a Tyler Perry House of Pain episode. I book that. And then here comes Geico. 2020 has been the best year of my life. And it's because a lot of these things came together. And now everything is new, right? I see everything as a new frontier. It's like the paradigm has shifted so many ways. And it shifted my way because I was prepared. And I took that time to get better and always tried to be a better man than you were the day before. And that's what I've done. And now, you know, you look back on your life and we've all done this. You know how you're just driving in the car and you look back on something that you did that was stupid and it's like, right? Or you beat yourself up on a missed opportunity or a mistake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, perfect example, I'm in the bowels of Disney and we're doing a kid record for Disney and I'm teaching Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse how to rap. It's like 1995, 96. And they're telling me about animation and I fell in love with voiceover. And, you know, several years after that, I used to beat myself up because I was like, you were there. But But I wasn't thinking about that. I had Whoomp, there it is. I was on top of the world. I wasn't thinking about no voiceover, but I wanted to do voiceover. But I realized that sometimes in life, we're just not ready. And that's okay, right? It's okay. And 2009, it took 15 years, but I started voiceover. And now the thing that I used to beat myself up over, I've just signed with one of the biggest voiceover agencies in the world. And I realized that all the mistakes, all the missed opportunities, that stuff can be corrected.
Yeah.
It ain't over till you're not breathing, right? And that's what I've spent the last year doing. I have 5 tutors for everything. I'm learning music there. I'm learning how to make beats again. I'm learning music production again. I'm learning SEO. I'm learning how to code. I'm learning how to write Wikipedia pages. I'm learning how, Wikidata works. I'm taking all these classes because I am not going to leave this earth regretting something that I wish I had done. And that is how you got to live your life. And that's how I do it. I'm different. I agree. But I'm not going to quit. I'm going to play offense. And I'm going to hustle. It's just that simple. And I don't care how long it takes because I don't expect anything of it, right? I don't expect anything of it. I got 3 movies, 3 TV shows about to come out at the same time. They're about to bring this Geico commercial back. As the Grand Marshal of a NASCAR race, right? We just finished singing for the Western, doing Whoomp for the Western Conference Finals. Like the things that I get to do 20-something years later is not because Whoomp, there it is, this nostalgic song. It's because of preparation. It's because, like perfect example, 2011, everybody thought Barack Obama was in our music video. And it was a big thing. But then I was sad after a week because I didn't make any money off of it. I was like, because nobody could find me because I didn't have my web stuff together. So I started my SEO career. And it took 10 years. And back then, if you type in tag team, it was all wrestling. You type in tag team today, it's all tag team. And these things that you improve upon in your life have indirect consequences that can help you flourish. Because that SEO and me being able to be found, was the reason one day I'm just laying around watching TV and I get a call from my agent. Hey, DC, you booked a Geico commercial. It's like, don't play with me. You don't play with my emotions. We're in a pandemic. Don't do that. You're wrong. Wrong actor. And they're like, DC, you booked a Geico commercial. They say they want a tag team. I was like, oh, tag team. And what had happened, tag team had called the phone number that I have on, which is dedicated, another dedicated line, but I didn't answer. And they did, and because they didn't give up, they went online and they found my IMDb portal, which everything was filled out correctly. And they called my agent for acting. And I let my agent do the deal because now I don't have to get lawyers. I don't have to do, this is what they do. You talk about synergy. And it is the biggest deal I have ever done in my life. And it all came from preparation. That's what preparation does for you.
Well, I'm so impressed. And DC, I don't think you're different. You're one of a kind. And earlier you mentioned about, planting seeds. Well, you can't just plant the seed and not water it, not nurture it, not love on it. It takes time. And would you agree that society and, in times have just changed to a mindset of entitlement and instant gratification? Like they want to go through a McDonald's drive-through and say, here, bam, there you go.
I mean, but it's just the way it is. We all, anything that happens, any new fad, any way of changing our lives, we all fall for it, right? Mm-hmm. But it's the understanding that, okay, that is the way it is. And self-gratification is cool, but I'm still going to keep going, right? Like, I don't expect anything. See, that's where the self-gratification comes. That's where that instant gratification comes in because everybody's like, okay, if I do this, I'm going to get that. I don't think like that, ever. I'm like, I'm doing this. People always ask me, why are you doing that? You ain't making no money doing this. Like, don't matter. This is preparation for something that's going to serve me to make the money down the road. Because that's your best case scenario going into it, right?
Right.
Because I don't quit. I'm going to learn it all the way, right? If it takes 10 years, you don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know what monkey wrench life throws at you. You don't know which good thing life throws at you, right? I've had to say no to a lot of things lately that I wouldn't have said no to 2 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all of that. I don't blame society for anything because I can't control it. All I can control is what I do. And what I do is I do 3 or 4 of these podcasts every day, and I talk to people and I try to tell them my experiences and the things that I've learned from my elders and the things that I know work for me and the things that they've seen me do over the years. And I feel it's my responsibility because I wish, you know, in essence, these are the things I wish somebody had did for me when I was a young man.
Absolutely. And that's why I'm so thankful to have you on the show today. And, you know, you mentioned also you just did a whole transformation in your life.
Yeah.
You know, and I commend you because some people want to like do better than the last. That's what I do with all my shows. Even when I had my own film production, I wanted to be better than my last project.
Yeah.
A lot of people do.
And sometimes it ain't gonna work out that way, but that's the mindset. You do it, you know, there are so many things that I'm so much like everybody else. I'm lazy, right? I procrastinate, all those things, right? I sometimes want it now, but you know, if I'm lazy, I'm gonna do it anyway. Because you can be both. You can be lazy and keep it moving. Right? You can be lazy. You know, you could be lazy, keep it moving. You can sit. I mean, it happens every day. It's like some days I'll be like, man, I'm sick tired of working, so I'll go lay in the bed. But then when I'm laying in the bed, I'm looking at YouTube videos about the work that I'm supposed to be doing, right? So, but now I'm watching something. I'm continuing my education while I'm just relaxing and laying in bed, being lazy. You could do both. You know, DC, how do you control the fear of moving from thing to thing? And I'm like, you be scared. You can do both. You could be scared, keep it moving, because everybody who's accomplished anything great has been scared and terrified, but they fought through that storm anyway. When every other boat turned around and tried to find another way, you went straight into that hurricane and you figured out how to get through the other side. And when you got through the other side, you laughed at it because because I tell people, I say, there's no way around it. There's no way under it. There's no way over it. The only way to it is through it. So you might as well go on and do it now. And that's what I do. You know, I've got lists. I've got 4 or 5 lists all around. I got lists on pads. I got lists on notepads on my phone. I got a list on the computer. I got a list in a book because I know that I'm trying to do so much that I have to write all this stuff down. And then those days where I'm just all over the place, I stop and I start at the top of one list and I just do one thing and finish it. Then I do the next thing and finish it. Next thing you know, that whole list is done because you got your bearings. And once you get your bearings, there's so much you can accomplish, but you would have never done that if you hadn't had it written down. You'd still be all over the place looking at, you know, social media and then trying to answer email and then trying to do this and just doing a whole bunch of nothing, right? You have to learn how to learn. It's not enough to just learn, right? You got to learn how to learn. Like I'll if I got a long email, I'm not reading that because I just want to think I'm dyslexic. I might not be. I might just be lazy. But I figured out a way to combat that. I throw that whole email in the AI. And now that email is reading to me. And then when the part comes, I need to listen to. Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm looking at it. It's reading to me, and we're reading it together. Now I'm retaining way more information than I would have retained if I was just reading it, daydreaming, and going off in my own mind. And then by the time I finished, I was like, I don't even know what this email said. Because that's what happened. That's what happens when you read books, right? So I throw the book in the AI. If there's something I really got to learn, I throw scripts in the AI. You throw a script in this AI so I can hear what the story is about, right?
Mhm.
Let's do it 3 times. I know what the story is about. I'm not worried about memorizing lines. I'm worried about what is the story about because I know I can tell a story. And that is the synergy you're looking for, right? And it's just how to learn hustle tactic, and just joining organizations is the key because these people you can learn about a whole profession in a week. All you got to do is call all the phone numbers on that website of that organization and ask every question you want because there's going to be somebody who loves what they do so much that they'll give it to you for free. They'll give you the resources. They'll tell you how they did it. They'll tell what you do. And you didn't got to sign up. But if you sign up, then you really can find all the aspects of that organization. I had a friend, she wanted to do a laundromat. I said, what you going to do? How you going to do it? I don't know. I just want a laundromat. I was like, man, I said, I'm going to buy you a membership. Let me go find an organization. There's only one, Coin Laundry Association of America, right? And I signed her up for it. 2 weeks later, she's coming back so excited because she didn't realize it was that much she could do. She's just thinking about having a laundromat where people come wash clothes when there's 15 other things that you can make money on by having a laundromat. You see what I'm saying? Because you joined the organization and you learned about it. My niece, she does lip gloss. She just got a website. She thought she was going to be rich. She thought she was going to be the next, Kardashian selling stuff, right? Selling lip gloss. I was like, you don't even have this, that on your website. Nobody even seeing you. I said, I'm going to put you in this organization. And then, because she was like, I want to find a distributor. And I was like, let me put you in this organization. And then all you do is call and ask them all the questions you want. Change their whole way of thinking. Because now you're getting the proper information because everybody in that organization been doing it 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, go to the experts to find
Go to the experts. It don't cost you much. It might cost 125, 200. It don't matter. I don't care how much it costs. Knowledge, the right knowledge is, hey, I don't care how much it costs. I'm gonna pay for it if I know it's the right knowledge. If you go to an organization, you're gonna get the right knowledge. Are you willing to do the work to sift through all that and find those nuggets, find that gold in the stream, right? Are you willing to just prospect for everything? And I'm always willing to do it because I know if I pick up the phone and ask a question, somebody's gonna always try to pitch me. So what I do is I let them just regurgitate everything because while they're pitching me, they're teaching me. Y'all don't want it with me. I got so many tactics and hustle tactics and ways I figure out things. I mean, I hadn't touched a drum machine in 20 years. And I went to the software developers. I went straight to the software developer. I was like, hey, man, I need you to tutor me. How much it costs? And I didn't think he would do it because, but every Tuesday, I'm learning music again with the person who invented a software platform, and I'm learning from the horse's mouth. And it has made it, and it's the beauty of it is that when you do that, they're not trying, everybody else was trying to teach me how they do it. But I said, this has to be custom to my workflow. So if I'm doing voiceover auditions, how can I make it sound better? If I'm doing this, how can I make it sound better? If I'm doing that, how do I cut this up? How do I do this? How do I do that? Now it's custom to me. Now my learning curve has shortened because it has made my workflow better. It's about how you maneuver around all these things with these tactics to create other things that are custom to you. And everybody can do it. That's why I don't take excuses from anybody. It's like, you say you can't do it, I can give you 5 reasons that you can. Think about if you had that when you were younger. Mm-hmm. Right? We know how we like to make excuses. Everybody does it. Everybody has a weakness. So when you have a weakness, you make excuses for it.
Well, you started from music and then you just, I feel like it was like these little things of connecting the dots to where you're at now. You're living the best life.
I mean, but
process.
Like I said, Whoomp, there it is with the Genesis. We signed a bad contract. We signed a bad contract, right? But because we signed a bad contract, I basically became a paralegal. because I knew I'd have my day in court. So I said, you got all the information, put all this discovery together, organize it, learn what emotion is, learn all the things that they're doing in this court case, because it was 2 record companies fighting over the rights. And that was a 20-year education. But when it came time for us to win, or our day in court, we prevailed at a cost. But to just, all I had to do was organize and basically become a paralegal. It was worth every penny, because that's the glass half full, not half empty. Right.
Mhm.
And 2000, I was like, I am never going to let anybody take advantage of my money again. And I became a licensed commodities broker, passed the Series 3 exam. I worked for 3 brokerages while I was DJing in the clubs at night, but it wasn't for me. I said, I want to do a hedge fund. And well, I don't know nothing about a hedge fund. Well, let me call some people. Start calling hedge fund managers like, hey, this is DC from Tag Team. It's the only time I use my celebrity. What little I have. I'm DC from Tag Team. I made the song Whoomp. There it is. I've got money, under management. I'm looking for somebody to run my hedge fund. Man, come on up. We can do this. We can have a meeting and everything. I had meetings in New York, LA, San Francisco, Vegas. I'm in a boardroom in Vegas. We're doing our little pleasantries. They're doing their fan thing where they tell the story of what it meant to them, because I always love that. And then I'm like, why should I let you guys manage my money? Because I got Deion Sanders, I got Dominique Wilkins, I got all the Falcons, I got all these entertainers down in Atlanta. Why should I let you guys run my show? And they're like, because we could do this and this and that and this and this DC because of this and this and that. And back to what I said before, the beauty of it is that while they were pitching me feverishly, they were teaching me. And that's the only reason I do that. I do that with everything. And I learned that it wasn't for me. And the beauty of it is that with collateral damage, which is the fact that I didn't move forward. Some people say I quit, but it's not that. It's just that I knew it wasn't for me, because it's intellectual gambling, and I'm horrible at gambling because I get emotional. So I would have lost a lot of money. But there are collateral sprinkles as well, which are the good things. And the good thing is that 2000, I didn't know anything they were saying when I look at CNBC. 2002, I knew everything they were talking about on CNBC. And then I started running my life like a corporation. I was like, yeah, run your life like a corporate. What are you going to do? Well, what does a corporation do? Well, you figure out what type of corporation you want to be. So I'm a C Corp, and then you figure out what you want to do. You just start figuring out everything that a corporation is. There's books all around that can tell you what to do. You get a business book from a college, and it tells you everything to do. You start there. And I started running my life like a corporation. I ended up becoming my own bookkeeper. I learned about tax law. I learned about credit. I learned about corporate credit. I learned about a DUNS number. I learned about how to get anything I want. And I've had that company since 2002, and it's still viable today, right? And I run my life like a corporation because I'm my own bookkeeper. I know where every penny goes because I'm a masterful at QuickBooks. So now that I know where every penny goes, I can explain everything if I get audited, right?
Mhm.
And everything is properly categorized. Everything has a story, and that's all they want. But if I go in like, well, I don't know what that's for. Well, if you're not prepared, they're going to get you. And even if they do get you, that's still, I mean, that just meant I have to pay it. You know what I mean? And that's better than them putting penalties on you and them, hitting you for tax event. It's not, you have to be on top of your game. And because I did all these things, when I was DJing in the clubs, I had to go back to DJing in the clubs because of the lawsuit, which was cool because it happens. You rise and you fall. And I knew that by watching others rise and fall when I was DJing in the clubs. And I said, I'll never be that way. But lucky for me, DJing was just like doing a show, and we're still doing shows. So it's still cool. But our career had stopped. So I didn't have no problem going back DJing. But then I was like, I need to figure something else out. And I've always had the best DJ jobs because I'm not just your DJ. I am your light guy. I'm your sound guy. I do your flyers. I do your graphics. I do your video editing. I do your TV commercials. I do your radio commercials. I do your calendars. I do your fashion photography for the girls. I do all these things because you have to make yourself invaluable. And when you make yourself invaluable, you're not doing it. You have to do way more than what you do. I tell people who are in dead-end jobs or jobs they can't stand, I said, you need to learn everything that everybody knows how to do and let the bosses see you hustle and learn how to do it. Man, I ain't about to do that for them. That's too much work. Yeah, but you're missing the point. It's not about them. It's about you. Because when you make yourself invaluable in any job, the transition to the next one is smoother, right? The transition from a job to you doing your own business is smoother because you've acquired the skills that everybody, you learn what to do. You learn what to do in that company that everybody knows. Every little thing you learned how to do. So if somebody didn't show up for work, you could do it for them. You let them see you hustle. They respect you more. And you're not going to lose your job. And if you do, the transition to something better is easier. You've gained knowledge for yourself, but everybody's always looking for, well, what can they do for me? Well, I'm not about to do all that. I'm about to do all this. And I'm different. I'm like, if I go in, I'm gonna know everybody's job and how to do it and fold it into mine, because now I got 2 streams of income, 3 streams of income, 4 streams of income, all in one place. So I've got 4 jobs in one and don't got to go to all across town to this one, go across town to that one. And now I get paid for it. And that's why I was stuck at the club for 10 years. I was just actually 15 years because they took care of me so well. I had life insurance. I had health insurance as a DJ. Come on, man. But while I was there and I learned how to do all these things, I wanted to expand on them because I love voiceover. That's what made me good voiceover. I wanted to expand on. That's what made me do SEO. Let me practice by doing the club's website and making sure I do SEO right and all this. You get to be in the corridor. You get to practice, right? And back then they were like, DC, you're just doing too much, man. You jack all trades, master none. What they didn't realize is that over time, and you get in the corridor, you become masterful at some of those trades, and then they all serve you in ways you don't even know. It's almost like having 5 arms. You can do things nobody else can do.
Well, that goes to the Jim Rohn. I don't know if you know of him. Traditional education will make you a paycheck or an income, but self-education will make you a fortune.
Yeah.
And you are a perfect example of that.
Yep. And, sky's the limit. Everybody's like, what's up next for you, DC? I have no idea, because I've already achieved my dreams and my goals, right? Now it's just, now it's like, let's see where else we can go. What else? I like making music. I want to be a virtuoso, right? So that's going to take some work, because I ain't touched a drum machine in 20 years, but I'm back. It took 4 months, right? Because I studied. I know how to do things. I know how Google works now inside out. You know what I mean? I know how to build the websites. I know how to do the schema. I know how to do the Wikidata pages, Wikipedia pages. It took me 5 years to learn how to write a Wikipedia page.
Wow.
Just write it. I'm like, nah, it's way more than that. And then you don't know that Wikipedia is tied to Wikidata, which is tied to schema, which is the algorithm's favorite food on Google. And everybody thinks they can just build a pretty website and it's going down. It's like, no, Google is a robot. Nothing more, nothing less. Google gives you the recipe to feed the robot. So now it's up to you. What are you going to be? A just short order cook? Or are you going to be a 5-star Michelin chef? Right? Mm-hmm. And if you're a 5-star Michelin chef, the bot is happy and he puts you wherever you want to be in this vast world of the internet so people can see you and then pay you. Come on now.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? That's and everybody's like, why are you doing nobody would even think to do all this. I'm like, yeah, but I've been at disadvantages, so I've had to think differently. We've got one song and we go on tour. You got to have a catalog, 5, 6 songs to go on tour. We got one song and we're on stage with Salt and Pepper, Vanilla Ice, Tone Loc, all the biggest names in 90s hip hop, and go toe to toe with them. Because first and foremost, I'm a DJ. And what does a DJ do? DJ rocks the party. That's the first question in hip hop back in the day in the 80s. Can you rock a party? Can
Yep.
you get the crowd?
If you can't rock the party and get the crowd on that dance floor, you sort of sucked.
And I'm an old school. That was my whole life, is never to get people off the dance floor. And I got so good at it, I would show the owners. I'd be like, look, not only am I gonna keep people on the dance floor, but I'm gonna make you money because I'm gonna do it in genres. And I'm gonna play reggae, and you're gonna have everybody else at the bar. Then I'm gonna switch it and play go-go. Now that crowd goes to the bar because I don't wear them out. Now we're playing house. That crowd gets worn out, goes to the bar. Now I'm playing bass. That crowd gets worn out and go to the bar. Now I play slow jams, and now everybody's at the bar buying bottles of champagne, buying all your alcohol. And then party really starts. So you gotta let people see you hustle. I didn't ask for no more money. I just let them see me hustle. I want to show you what I do for you. Not in the form of look at what I do for you, but let me show him why he sees me hustle. And that's how you get raises. That's how you get what you want. That's how you become invaluable. And that's what I have always done. Is figured out the ways to infiltrate anything. Just like with acting. I said, I got to figure out the hierarchy. The hierarchy is, well, the movie company green lights a picture, then the producer green lights, the director and the casting directors, they start making things happen. Then the casting director reaches out to all the talent agencies for all the roles, and then they say submit. And then the talent agencies submit the people who are on their roster that they think are the best for those roles. And then the casting director looks at all the pictures and say, I'll take them, which might be 100 out of 3,000 pictures that they looked at. And then 100 people audition, then they whittle it down to 5, then they whittle it down to 2, and then you get the job. Once I learned that, now I know how to infiltrate it because the casting director is the most important part of it. So I have to let the casting director see me hustle. How do I do that? Well, I do that through placing myself stealthily in front of them on Facebook, on social media, on any opportunity I see fit, being in their class, being in these coaches' classes, bartering with them, saying, hey, I'll shoot your video, give you footage for your class. Just let me take the class. Or can I help you? Or be the class early, help them set up the video, help them set up the lights, right? Make yourself invaluable in every form, shape, and fashion. Because I got my first movie from my coach that I shot a video for. I circumvented the process. But even if I had to do 1,000 auditions to get to the good one, that's what I'm going to do. So give me 50 a day so I can hurry up and get to it. I have no problems with putting in the work. But there are also ways to infiltrate and get in the sides to let them see you hustle, to let them see your value. And you don't have to be thirsty about it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to shake your booty. You don't have to be you don't have to do stupid stuff on social media. People say, I hate social media. Yeah, because you don't know how to use it. You look at it as what these kids are doing. They can do that. I'd rather have 1,000 people who fully engage what I do than have thousands more that don't do nothing. Because if you got 1,000 people that are fully engaged, that's 1,000 people that's going to help you do whatever. That's opportunity. You just have to look at it that way. That goes with LinkedIn. That goes with all of them. So people are always looking, they want to be like these young kids, and you'll never be like that because you're older, you're more mature, you're not willing to do the dumb stuff that they do.
That's for sure.
Exactly. People don't get it, right? So
it's like,
and that's why, and so everybody's like, why are you learning all that? That's why I have to learn SEO and how to write Wikipedia pages and how Google, how all this stuff works the way I need it to work for me. So that means I have to go see how the sausage is made. I have to see how the sausage is made, period. I had to do that with voiceover. I had to do that with every genre of voiceover, commercial, movies, movie trailer, promo. Like I had to hire the best coaches to find how they make the sausage. And all these coaches are telling me, well, you can't do it that way because we've always done it like this. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't. Okay. Like there's a form of voiceover called ADR. And traditionally, you have people who are in loop, call them loop troops, right? And I'm like, this one Loop Troop dude was like, you'll never be able, that's not going to work because we do it in Loop Troops and we do it like this and they always want this and they always want that. And I'm like, he wasn't saying it to piss me off, but he pissed me off. And he wasn't saying it in malice, but I used it, right? I used it. And I said, okay, you ain't going to tell me I ain't going to do nothing. And I'm like, let me make an ADR demo. And then let me present myself as the premier African-American ADR specialist in the world because I know SEO. I know how to get in front of the people that make the decisions. So if they say, wait a minute, all I need is one person to need the premier African-American SEO specialist in the world. So all I need is one out of thousands. There's going to be somebody that needs my services. That's how I used to get people jobs in high school. They'd be like, I can't get no job, man. I've rolled around 5 hours and only went to 5 places. I was like, dude, you're doing it wrong. They're like, what do you mean? I was like, man, bring me them yellow pages. For those who know what yellow pages are, yellow pages is a computer in a big yellow book, right? We know.
Whatever happened to those?
Right? It's basically Google in a big yellow book, right? And I said, so what do you want to do? Where do you want to work? He's like, restaurants. All right. We're gonna start with A. Hey, how you doing? Are you accepting applications? Nah, not right now. Okay, thank you. Hey, are you hiring? No, we're not hiring. We're good. Okay. Hey, is it possible I can come and fill out an application? You can get here in 30 minutes. You got a job. This girl just don't quit on me. The cook is acting funny. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, boom, there you go, dog. There's one. Took me 5 minutes. Because there's always somebody who is retiring. There's always somebody who's going to quit. There's always somebody who's going to, steal. There's always going to be a business who is growing, right? There's always going to be a business who needs a specialist. There's always going to be a business who needs your services. It's up to you to just pick up the phone and call all of them. Because I guarantee you, if you call 100, 10 of them can use you. And at least you go fill out an application. And now you're on file. I'm like, dude, it's just practical things that you can do to circumvent the traditional way of doing things. And
you're learning, evolving, and growing and expanding. You can't be so small-minded. And it's like, how are you supposed to adjust and adapt with things that are constantly evolving and changing in any industry? You got to fluctuate.
Every industry, like right now, if you're sitting back waiting for things to get back the way they used to be, you're going to be sitting back waiting for things to get back the way they used to be. While I'm standing in front of this mountain, and this mountain of opportunity, I'm on the foothills of this new frontier. There's a reason that they say there's gold in them dar hills.
Yeah.
There's a reason they say that, because I'm sitting here looking at a whole mountain full of gold. It's up to me to do the work to get all the gold out, and all that gold is mine because everybody's thinking about something else, something that used to be in the past, something that they got comfortable with their whole life, right? But I see everything new. I see that I can make my own custom lane. And if I make one lane, I can make 2. And if I make 3 and 4, now I got a highway. And if I got a highway, I can go anywhere I want to go and just keep going, right? Because it's custom to me, right? And then people are going to get on your highway. They're going to travel your highway, and you are the genesis of something that you might not even know that you are the genesis of. And it's okay. You don't have to have credit for it. You just do it because it served you first. And as long as it can help other people, isn't that what humanity is about? Right?
Yes, I agree with you, DC. That's why I started this podcast. During an epidemic, I went back to school to brush up on my skills. And I just started a podcast. I'm like, you know what? Might as well. I was taking a pause, and I wanted to go back to school. And during the pandemic, I just like, well, what can I do now?
Everybody said that. What can I do? What can I do? Right.
And I took the class. I started taking Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I don't know if you're familiar with
Oh
them.
yeah, everybody knows Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
I'm an alumni graduate, not once but twice. I went back.
Yeah. Because I mean, every sportscaster, everybody goes through that, right? So that's the biggest thing there is. And luckily for me, I've been rocking the mic for 30 years, right? And I've learned every form of it through voiceover, through broadcasting, through rapping, through DJing, through motivational speaking, through storytelling, through, I've had to take classes for diction and articulation because I had a little Southern drawl, but I'm from Denver. Like the everything evolves, everything changes, everything. You have to stay up on it. I watched my father would still be with me if he had learned how to use a computer when the computers came out. But he was like, he has his PhD. And for somebody so smart, he thought he just could always just be a PhD. He would know more than everybody else. And life passed him by. And now when you get ailments, you can't even use a computer to go look up stuff that you can try to figure out to get better, or you don't know how to do it. And I watched it happen, and I vowed that will never happen to me. It happened to me when I was young, when it went with the switch from vinyl to CDs, right? Everybody started.
I know, right?
Yeah, everybody started buying.
The vinyl's coming back.
Yeah, it's like everybody started buying these CDJs and DJing with CDs, and I was like, I'll never do that. And it was a stupid thing to do because I started lacking as a DJ, and I said, I'll never do that again. I'll never turn my nose up at something that's new, because I can tell you there's maybe a 60-40 chance that new thing is going to become the norm. And if you're in on it quickly, you're going to be okay, and that's what I've always done. And that's why I've been successful. And, and then now it's just about practical. Like, I don't have to have the cars. I don't have to have none of that. So when I get money, it just goes into, investment accounts, right? Because I've set it up so well, right? Take a portion out and you put a piece away and it grows, and you just let it grow. I don't have to be into real estate. I don't even like real estate, but there's many ways to invest that, everything isn't for everybody. Like, my thing is, you fill up these buckets of SEP IRAs and IRAs, and you fill them up, and you fill up mutual funds, and you put the maximums in, and you protect your money. You put stuff in funds, and you let it grow slowly. Because 30 years ago, I was like, this will never happen. That'll never happen. I'm always going to make money. 20 years ago, I'm always going to make money. 15 years ago, let me start thinking about, and I always make money. And I don't even have to look at it. It pulls out of my accounts, pulls money out of my accounts consistently over time. And then you look up and you got a whole bunch of money that you don't even have to touch. And if you did have to touch it, you leave a certain amount in, and it still grows back again, because you got people who are not going to let your money just fall out of the sky. They're going to make moves to keep it right. They're going to contact you and say, hey, we might need to move this, and they make good decisions because they make conservative decisions because it's your money. Now, there's always going to be the person that takes advantage of you. They're out there, but you just don't put all your eggs in one basket, So I've had a beautiful life, and I still got stuff to do. There's things I want in life, right? And I feel 25. And I'm not looking back. And I'm going to keep grinding. I'm going to keep using my brain. And you're going to see a lot from me coming soon. And I just really want to thank you for having me on your show, because I learn more from talking and hashing things out than I do from any other forum. So that's why I'm an expert guest, because I get to go run my mouth and learn things, right? And I get to go run my mouth, and people get to listen to me, and sometimes it moves them in a certain way that I might have been the thing that changed their whole life. Just that one little thing that they've heard 15 times, but heard me say it different. And now it makes sense.
And that's why I love having people like you. Like, I'm even learning, just listening to you. I was like, wow, I didn't think of it that way. Maybe I should look into that kind of thing.
And that's the one phrase that every podcast, somebody always says, I've never thought about it that way. Exactly. You got to twist your thinking. Like, you can't be reactionary. You have to let it fly through you. And then when it's tearing your heart apart and tearing your ego apart and tearing your pride apart, it goes away. Right? It's almost like, you know what it's like? It's like when you eat ice cream, too much ice cream too fast. And that initial pain is excruciating. But you know that it's gonna go away. You just have to be patient. And 3 seconds seems like 20. But 3 seconds goes by and then it fades and then it's gone. Right? That's what that's what life is to me. You go through, that's what these experiences are to me. You let them fly through you, let them be painful, you let them tear you to shreds, but you don't react because they really don't mean anything. There's always fuel. There's always a positive spin in everything. I don't care what it is. There's a positive spin on everything because positive can't be positive without negative, and negative can't be negative without positive.
Great point right there. You nailed it. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for this time with you. I'm the one that's grateful and so thankful for you being here. And you've been one of my idols growing up. Get me on that dance floor. Let me tell you, I got workout.
Cool. So you got any more questions?
No, that has been just a phenomenal interview. Just being in your presence, the energy, everything.
Thank you.
I wish you the best of success in these upcoming projects. And I know that I put some information of how people can reach out to you, and I got the Geico commercial YouTube on there in the description so everybody could see it. And thank you again for joining us, DC. I would love to stay in contact with you.
Hey, I'm always here. You got my number. It's all good.
Yes. Thank you again.
Hey, have a good day. Bye, everybody. Oh, yeah. Sprinkles. Yep.
Now I'm going to get me a jar of sprinkles, DC, and put it on my desk.
Cool.
All right. Wow. That was amazing and inspirational, motivating. And it was just an honor and a pleasure to have DC Glenn from Tag Team joining us today. Look for more exciting, great interviews with some great and amazing guests right here on Wake Up with KC.
Do you agree that, it's time that we all wake up and take responsibility, even for our ancestors that did not know any better?
Been waiting patiently to have this kind of conversation.